Christmas Eve, thick snow covering the road. Ethan stopped the car by the side, lifted his daughter from the back seat. A loud crash rang out. The car ahead skidded, nearly hitting father and daughter. A woman rushed over, pulled the child into her arms. "Be careful." Ethan froze. The woman who saved his daughter was his ex-wife, Anna. She trembled, and the little girl in her arms opened her eyes, whispered softly, "Mommy." All three looked at each other, in white breath and distant church bells. Ethan Ward, 36 years old, former aerospace engineer, now working as an auto mechanic after divorce. He lived with his 6-year-old daughter, Lila, in a small apartment in suburban Boston. Every Christmas was just the two of them. He'd buy a small pine tree, hang the old stockings her mother had knitted. Anna Miller, 34 years old, former PR director, left 5 years ago after losing their first son in an accident and unable to bear Ethan's silence. They divorced without hatred, just two wounded people who didn't know how to stay. When Christmas Eve arrived, Ethan took Lila out to see the lights. On the road, he stopped because his brakes failed. Suddenly, an SUV skidded toward them. A woman ran over, pushed Lila out of the way. Ethan looked up. It was Anna. Both froze, snow falling with their breath. Lila wrapped her arms around the woman's neck. "Mommy?" Anna burst into tears. Ethan's voice shook. "You remember her?" "Every day," Lila said softly. The moment stretched, impossibly long and impossibly short. 5 years. 5 years since Anna had walked out of their house with a single suitcase and red eyes. 5 years since Ethan had watched her go, too broken to ask her to stay. And now she was here, on Christmas Eve, saving their daughter from a car accident. If he believed in signs, this would be a big one. Anna looked different. Her hair was shorter, style more casual than the polished professional look she used to maintain. But her eyes, those were the same. Deep brown, full of emotion she'd never quite learned to hide. "Are you okay?" Anna asked, checking Lila for injuries with practiced mother's hands. "I'm fine. The nice lady saved me." "The nice lady," Anna repeated, voice breaking. "Anna," Ethan said, finding his voice finally. "What are you doing here?" "I moved back 3 months ago, started working at a nonprofit downtown." "You moved back to Boston?" "I needed to come home." The word home hung between them like a question neither dared answer. Other cars honked, annoyed by the stopped vehicles blocking traffic. Reality intruded on their frozen moment. "We should move," Ethan said. "My car's dead anyway." "I'll drive you," Anna offered immediately. "Where do you need to go?" "Home. We were just going to look at lights, but..." "Please, let me drive you. It's Christmas Eve." They loaded Lila into Anna's car, the girl chattering excitedly about the near accident, about the pretty lady who pushed her, about how brave everyone was. Kids process trauma differently, turn scary moments into stories. In the front seat, Ethan and Anna sat in silence. The radio played carols. Neither reached to change it. "Your address?" Anna asked finally. He gave it. She knew the neighborhood. They drove. "How long have you lived there?" 3 years, after we sold the house." Their house, the one they'd bought together, full of dreams and plans. "I'm sorry," Anna said. "About the house." "Don't be. Too many memories there anyway." She glanced at him. "All bad?" "No, that was the problem. Too many good ones." They pulled up to a modest apartment building, working-class neighborhood, safe, clean, but nothing like the suburban dream they'd built. Ethan started to get out, but Lila asked, "Can the nice lady come see our Christmas tree?" The red scarf Anna wrapped around Lila, identical to the one she'd knitted the year they married. Ethan invited Anna into a cafe nearby, 3 people sitting around a small table by the window. No one spoke for several minutes, just the ticking clock and Christmas music. Anna asked, "Does she know who I am?" Ethan nodded. "I never hid you from her." Lila smiled, pointed to her bag. "I still keep the Christmas card Mommy wrote that year." Anna looked at the shaky handwriting, burst into tears. The card was old, edges worn from being handled too much. Anna had written it the Christmas before Oliver's accident, before everything fell apart. "Dear Lila, you're going to be the best big sister. Love forever, Mommy." Anna's hands shook holding it. You kept this? She carries it everywhere, Ethan said, like a good luck charm. After Lila fell asleep at the table, they went outside, walking along the decorated street. The city was beautiful at Christmas. Lights everywhere. Couples holding hands. Families laughing. Everything they'd once been and lost. I thought about this moment, Anna said. Running into you, I had speeches prepared, explanations, apologies. And now? Now I can't remember any of them. They walked past a toy store, windows full of elaborate displays. Ethan remembered bringing Lila here last year, letting her press her nose to the glass and pick one special thing, a doll. She'd chosen a doll that looked like Anna. Same brown hair, same warm eyes. He'd bought it without question. Let her sleep with it every night. How have you been? Anna asked. Really? Surviving, working, raising Lila. She's the only thing that kept me going after you left. I'm sorry. Don't be. You did what you needed to do. That doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it wrong either. Ethan told her everything. How he'd lost his aerospace job 6 months after she left. How the grief had made him unreliable, missing deadlines, making mistakes. How he'd worked odd jobs for a year, construction, delivery driving, anything to pay rent and keep food on the table. How Mike at the auto shop had given him a chance when no one else would, had been patient with his mistakes, had let him bring Lila to work on snow days and sick days. How he'd rebuilt a life from nothing, small, modest, but stable. And you never dated? Anna asked. Once, maybe twice, nothing serious. No one who could handle the fact that I was still in love with my ex-wife. The admission hung between them. Anna stopped walking. You still love me? Never stopped. Tried to. Couldn't. Ethan. I don't say it to make you feel guilty. Just stating facts. You asked how I was. That's how I am. Still in love with someone who left. I never stopped loving you either. Then why did you go? Because love wasn't enough. We needed healing, communication, professional help, and we were too proud or too broken to ask for it. They reached a church, bells ringing for midnight mass. People filed in, bundled against the cold. Do you ever go? Anna asked. To church? No, not since Oliver. Me neither. Felt like a betrayal to pray to the one who took our son. Yeah, but I've been thinking about going back. Not for forgiveness, just for community, for reminders that we're not alone. Anna said she'd gone to therapy, realized she wasn't running from him, but from herself. After we lost Oliver, she said, naming their son for the first time tonight, I couldn't breathe in that house. Every room reminded me. Every corner had his ghost. You think I didn't feel that too? I know you did, but you went silent, wouldn't talk about it, wouldn't cry, just worked more and said less. That's how I cope. I needed words. I needed you to break down with me. And when you didn't, I felt like I was drowning alone. I was drowning too, just quietly. They stopped under a streetlight, snow dusting their shoulders. I should have stayed, Anna said. Should have fought harder. Should have demanded you talk to me. I should have opened up. Should have let you see how broken I was. Should have asked you to stay. We both should have done a lot of things. Silence fell, but warmer now. Shared regret instead of separate pain. Anna asked suddenly, did you ever forgive me? Ethan answered, I was never angry. I was just scared that if we met again, I wouldn't be brave enough to keep you a second time. The honesty cut through the cold. They walked to his shop. On the wall, a broken frame still hung, showing their wedding photo. You kept this? Anna touched it gently. Lila asked me to. She likes knowing what we looked like when we were happy. We were so young. We were so hopeful. And do you think we can ever get that back? No, but maybe we can find something different, something deeper. Anna pulled tape from her purse, carefully mended the broken glass, smoothed the photo, her hands gentle, reverent. On the workbench, she noticed drawings, Lila's crayon masterpieces covering every surface. She draws us, Ethan said. All three of us. Always has. Anna picked one up. 3 stick figures holding hands, labeled Mommy, Daddy, Lila. She draws me? Every single one. She says you're with us, just not where we can see. She's wise. She's 6, but yeah, sometimes too wise. They sat in the break room drinking bad coffee, talking about the years apart. I joined a grief group, Anna said. Took me 2 years to actually talk. But when I did, it helped. Hearing other people's stories, knowing I wasn't alone. That's good. You should try it. Maybe. Ethan. What? You don't have to be strong all the time. Not for me, not for Lila, not for anyone. If I'm not strong, I'm nothing. That's not true. If you're not strong, you're human, and humans need help sometimes. He looked at her, really looked. Saw the woman he'd fallen in love with, and also someone new. Someone who'd done the hard work of healing. I missed you, he said simply. I missed you too. Every single day. Anna gently taping the broken wedding photo, smoothing their young faces, saying nothing. The next day, Anna came to visit Lila, bringing gifts. While they talked, Ethan's former company boss appeared, demanding the repayment of a loan. In front of his daughter, the man humiliated Ethan. Former engineer? Now just a cheap mechanic. Anna stood up. That's enough. He laughed coldly. Who are you to him? Anna answered, someone who was foolish enough to leave him once. The boss sneered. And you're back? How pathetic. Both of you. Get out, Anna said, voice like steel. You can't make me. No, but I can call the police for harassment, and I have excellent lawyers. Want to try me? He looked between them, saw something that made him back down. Maybe it was Anna's certainty. Maybe it was how Ethan stood straighter beside her. Either way, he left. After he was gone, Anna pulled Ethan outside. Don't let them talk to you that way. You don't deserve those words. Ethan exploded. I'm not angry at them. I'm angry at myself. If I was stronger, you wouldn't have left. She argued back. No, if I'd stayed without dealing with my grief, we both would have collapsed. So leaving was better? Loving was survival, not better, just necessary at the time. And now? Now I've done the work. Now I'm ready to try again. The words hung there, enormous and terrifying. Anna, you can't just come back and expect everything to be okay. I don't. I expect it to be hard. I expect us to have to rebuild from nothing. But I want to try. Why? Because I never stopped loving you. And because our daughter deserves a family. She has a family, me. She deserves both of us together. Tension exploded. Both cried, years of pain and longing spilling out on a snowy sidewalk. Lila called from the door. Mommy and Daddy, don't cry anymore. Anna knelt down, hugged her daughter. What do you want for Christmas this year? I want Mommy and Daddy to be home together, just tonight. They looked at each other. The request was simple. The implications were enormous. Ethan nodded slowly. Inside, they started preparing. Lila directed like a tiny general, telling them where decorations should go. Tree needs to be here. Lights like this. Star on top. Anna found the paper star she'd folded years ago, carefully preserved in a box. You kept this? Lila wouldn't let me throw anything away, Ethan said. She said you'd come back for them someday? She had more faith than either of us. They worked together, muscle memory from years of marriage kicking in. Anna handed things, Ethan hung them. Like a dance they'd practiced so long, they didn't need to think. At one point, their hands touched, reaching for the same ornament. Both pulled back, then laughed at the awkwardness. We used to do this better, Ethan said. We used to do a lot of things better. Yeah, but we can learn again. Lila insisted on being lifted to place the star on top. Ethan hoisted her up, Anna steadying them both. The star clicked into place. Lila clapped. They turned on the lights. The tree was modest, nothing like the elaborate ones from their wealthy past, but it glowed warm and bright in the small apartment. It's perfect, Lila said. Anna agreed. It really is. Ethan just looked at his ex-wife and daughter together in his living room and wondered if he was dreaming. Later, after Lila insisted on making hot chocolate like a family, Anna helped in the kitchen. You know we can't pretend 5 years didn't happen, Ethan said quietly. I know. We're different people now. I know that too. So what are we doing? Being honest for the first time in years and seeing where that leads. What if it leads nowhere? Then at least we'll know we tried. He handed her a mug. Their fingers touched again. This time, neither pulled away. I'm scared, he admitted. Me too. Of what? Of failing again. Of hurting you again. Of not being enough. You were always enough, Anna. That wasn't why it fell apart. Then why did it? Because we didn't know how to fall apart together. We only knew how to do it separately. Three people decorating the old tree together, hanging the paper star Anna folded years ago. The house was warm and bright. Lila slept between them on the couch. Ethan made cocoa. Anna told stories about the years away, doing charity work, learning to forgive herself. He laughed. And I learned to cook by burning 20 batches of cookies. You, cooking. Badly, but Lila eats it anyway. She's a good kid. She's the best kid. They put on music, slowly danced in the small living room. Not touching much, but close enough to remember what it felt like. Anna said, "If I said I want to stay, would you be afraid?" He answered, "I'm only afraid of waking up tomorrow and finding everything gone again." "Then I'll be here when you wake up." The promise was simple but profound. They talked through the night, about Oliver finally, about the accident, about the grief that had consumed them both. "I blamed myself," Anna said, "for not watching him close enough. I blamed myself for not being home that day. We both carried guilt that wasn't ours to carry. How did you let it go?" "Therapy, time, and realizing that loving someone means accepting we can't protect them from everything." Ethan was quiet. "I still dream about it sometimes. The call from the hospital. Your scream when they told us. I heard that scream in my head for 3 years straight. What stopped it? Accepting that he was gone. Really accepting it. Not just saying the words, but feeling them. He was gone, and nothing I did would bring him back. How do you accept that? By honoring his memory instead of drowning in his loss. By living the life he can't. By being grateful for the time we had." Ethan nodded slowly. He'd never gotten there. Never moved past the drowning part. "I'm still angry," he admitted. "That's okay. At God, at the universe, at whoever decided to take our son. That's okay too." "How is it okay?" "Because it's honest. And honesty is the first step to healing." They watched snow fall outside the window, golden light from the tree reflecting on their faces. "Do you think he'd be happy?" Ethan asked, "seeing us here?" "I think he'd want us to be happy, however that looks. Even if it means together again? Especially if it means that." Lila stirred in her sleep, mumbled something about presents. They both smiled. "She's dreaming about Christmas morning," Anna said. "She always does. Starts in October." "Does she ask about me?" "Every day for the first year, then less. Then just sometimes, but she never forgot." "I never forgot either. I thought about her constantly. About you." "Why didn't you call?" "Because I was ashamed. Because I thought you'd be better off. Because I was a coward." "You're not a coward, Anna. You were hurt." "Hurt people still have responsibilities." "Maybe, but they also deserve grace." She looked at him. "When did you get so wise?" "When I had to explain grief to a 3-year-old. They sat in comfortable silence. Lila's soft breathing the only sound. "I don't know what happens after tonight," Ethan said. "Neither do I. I don't know if we can fix what broke. We don't have to fix it. We can build something new. What if we fail again? Then we fail knowing we tried. That's better than the alternative. Which is? Living with regret forever." The paper star lit up with a small bulb representing light returning to a house that had gone dark. Christmas morning, Ethan woke to the smell of baking. Lila giggled. "Daddy, wake up! Mommy's making cookies!" Ethan walked out, sunlight flooding the living room. For a moment, he thought he was dreaming. Anna in his kitchen, flour on her cheek, humming while she worked. It looked so natural, like she'd never left, like the 5 years had been the dream, and this was reality. Anna said, "I don't know what the future holds, but I want to rebuild from the beginning, with you and with her. He smiled. I don't need promises, just you staying. Lila placed the paper star on the center of the table, wrote messily with a red marker. Home. Three people hung the star back on the tree together. When church bells rang, Anna held Ethan's hand. Thank you for not changing. He replied softly, thank you for coming back. But it wasn't that simple, and they both knew it. We should talk about logistics, Ethan said over breakfast. Where you're living, where we go from here. I have an apartment downtown, month-to-month lease. And your job? Flexible. I work from home mostly, nonprofit consulting for organizations serving grief counseling. The irony wasn't lost on either of them. Anna had turned her pain into purpose. So you could stay here, if you wanted? Is that what you want? He looked at Lila, who was decorating cookies with intense concentration, tongue sticking out in focus. I want what's best for her. That's not what I asked. I want you to stay, but I'm terrified. Of what? Of getting used to this again, of Lila getting attached, and then you leaving. I won't leave. You did before. I did, and I regret it every day, but I won't do it again. How can you promise that? Because I've done the work to make sure I can keep that promise. Because I'm not the same person who left. I have tools now, coping mechanisms, support systems. I know when to ask for help. Neither am I. Good. We'll figure out who we are now, together. Lila brought them each a cookie, shaped like a star. Family cookies, she announced proudly. They ate them, even though they were slightly burned and too sweet. Perfection wasn't the point. Being together was. That afternoon, they took Lila to the park, built a snowman with a carrot nose and button eyes, had a snowball fight that left all three breathless and laughing. Did all the things families do. People probably saw them and assumed they'd always been together. Didn't know the years of pain behind the smiles. But that was okay. They didn't need others to understand their story. Only they needed to understand it. In the evening, they sat by the window, watching snow fall in big lazy flakes. Do you think we can really do this? Anna asked. I don't know, but I want to try. What if we hurt each other again? Then we forgive and try harder. That's what commitment means. Not avoiding pain, but working through it. Is it that simple? No, it's that complicated, but also that simple. Lila came over, squeezed between them on the chair. This is the best Christmas ever. Yeah? Ethan asked, wrapping an arm around his daughter. Yeah, because we're all together, like a real family. Anna kissed her daughter's head, breathing in the scent of her shampoo. We are, aren't we? A real family again. Were we ever not a family? Lila asked with child logic. Anna and Ethan looked at each other over their daughter's head. No, Anna said. We were always a family, just apart for a while. Well, now we're together, so it's better. Hard to argue with that. Camera pulls back slowly. Three silhouettes framed in a window. Snow falling outside. Candlelight flickering inside. Tree lights twinkling. Christmas, after 5 years, finally becoming real for them again. They didn't have all the answers, didn't know if this would last forever, but they had this moment, this Christmas, this chance. And sometimes that's enough to start rebuilding what was lost. Ethan held Anna close, Lila between them, and thought about Oliver, about the son who'd brought them together and whose loss had driven them apart. He'd want this, Ethan thought. He'd want his sister to have both parents. He'd want them to be happy. He'd want love to win. I love you, Anna whispered. I love you too, Ethan replied. I love everyone, Lila added, making them laugh through tears. Outside, church bells rang again. The neighborhood glowed with Christmas lights. Families gathered, children played, and inside one small apartment, a family was learning how to be whole again. Not perfect, not without scars, but whole. Three people embracing by the window, snow falling, candles glowing, Christmas finally becoming real after 5 years apart. Sometimes the family you lose is the family you find again. And that second chance is the greatest gift of all. 5 years is a long time. Long enough to forget details, to build new lives, to become different people, but it's not long enough to stop loving someone. Ethan and Anna's story isn't a fairy tale. They didn't reunite and live happily ever after immediately. They had years of pain to work through, grief to process, forgiveness to earn and give. But they had something more important than perfection. They had willingness to try, to be honest, to be vulnerable, just risk being hurt again. Anna didn't come back because she was lonely. She came back because she'd done the work to be ready. Ethan didn't take her back because he was desperate. He took her back because he'd learned to open up. And Lila? She'd been holding space for this reunion since she was old enough to understand what family meant. Their Christmas miracle wasn't the accident that brought them together. It was the 5 years of separate growth that made them ready to be together again. Sometimes love means letting go, and sometimes it means holding on. The wisdom is knowing which one you need and when. They needed to let go, needed to heal separately, needed to become people who could actually sustain a relationship. And now they needed to hold on, to fight for what they'd lost, to build something better from the ruins. Christmas has a way of bringing people home, not just to places, but to each other. Ethan and Anna came home that Christmas Eve, not to the house they'd lost, but to the love they'd never quite released. And that, more than any present or decoration, was what made it a true Christmas. If you believe healing stories like this deserve to be told and not forgotten, please leave a comment and subscribe to Strong Dad Stories. We tell the stories that should never be forgotten. Thank you for watching, and remember, sometimes the family you lose is the family you find again, and that second chance is the greatest gift of all. See you in the next story.